My name's Ken Ziegler. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I am a senior environmental health scientist with the city of Albuquerque in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Or as the senior environmental health scientist for the environmental health department for the city of Albuquerque, the section that I'm in, we're in charge of um, monitoring the groundwater for the city of Albuquerque. So we have about 170 wells that we routinely test. We go out a couple times, well, once a year to test them, and a couple times a year to do water levels on them. So just to determine where the water is in the well. And then that once a year we do go out, and some wells we do them twice a year. We go out and we want monitor them to, we take samples and then we send them off to a lab. We also, as you can see behind me, I have a drone. We do drone flying for our group. We do aerial surveys that are accurate to maybe a centimeter or two with those drones, and that's to determine like subsidence of those landfills. We're also, all the city has a bunch of closed landfills where they used to put trash. They're currently closed. They've been closed. Our oldest one operated in the 1920s and 1940s, and our newest one closed in 1984. And so all those landfills, there's about 8 of them. We manage them. We do groundwater on them. Some of them we have methane, or what we call landfill gas destruction facilities, and so we make sure that those are operating properly so that the public's safe. And then any other little thing kind of that falls in environmental stuff kind of comes to us. So if no one else can find a place for it, we take care of it. The drones are newer to our program. I'm a licensed drone pilot, as well as one of my coworkers are both licensed drone pilots. So we have a physical license with the FAA to fly drones commercially. And there was a test that you have to take for that. You have to reapply or retest every 2 years. I just retested in this last summer, so I've been doing it for 2 years now at least. And we take the drones out and we fly a very specific program on the apps that we have, either on Android or iOS. They fly a very specific mission, what they call missions, and it captures intricate patterns, and then we bring them back to the office and we load them into sophisticated software on our computer that does something. It's a process called photogrammetry, where it stitches thousands of pictures together. One of our landfills, it takes about 7,000 pictures to put it together, and then it creates what they call an orthomosaic, which is a stitched together picture of of the entire aerial. Kind of used to, if you've seen like Google Earth or Google Maps, they do similar things, but these are on a much higher resolution scale. And then they create what they call a DSM, or a digital surface model, which is the actual elevation of that. So kind of you can actually we make 3D models out of them, and then we use that for what we call subsidence. We to see if the ground is sinking and how fast it's sinking in these old landfills. And then we also use it for modeling, like where not groundwater, surface water will flow. So when it rains, where will the water go? Which is, for New Mexico is important, because when we do get rain, we're not always out there. We don't know where the rain's going to go. So this models create the ability to see. It creates what I like to call digital rain, and it shows where those flow paths would be based on those elevations. For me, in high school, I had a really good biology teacher my senior year of high school who, did a really good job of treating us as almost, peers, and really gave us the ability to do the type of work that was seen probably more like in a college type career, so our college type lab. I also, growing up, I played football, so being part of a team that always plays into when I'm working, working with the other people I work with in my department. They're always interested in, you're always interested in trying to help someone out and trying to make the group better and stronger. And it's not always about yourself. And I think that being a little bit of selflessness, coming from playing team sports, growing up, like football and soccer and basketball, doing those types of things definitely play into my career now. I have a Bachelor of Science degree, environmental science from Wright State University. There's multiple universities that will give either a BA or a BS in environmental science. It's pretty routine. And that's some of the credentials I have, or some of the certifications I have is there's an OSHA certification called HAZWOPER, which is a hazardous waste operator certificate. We're required to have it. And even though I don't ever really handle hazardous waste, it is one of those things where it teaches you how to work in a potentially hazardous environment. And so you know about hazardous situations and also how to deal with them. And so that's one of the things that everybody that we work with in our section has is you have to have a HAZWOPER certification. I got it in college, and then it's a 40-hour class you take in college, and then every year I have to get an 8-hour recertified in it. So I have to take a class every year for 8 hours, and you go over everything and you remember everything, and you learn about I joke around sometimes like 8 ways to die doing something wrong, but it does keep you. It's a good refresher to remember that you are potentially working in a hazardous environment, and what hazards exist. And so we use that all the time. And then as I mentioned before, we have the FAA certification for the drones. And so in order to fly the drone commercially, and the city is considered a commercial application, we have to get that certification. So those are some of the certifications I have, and like I said, a BS in environmental health science. When someone comes to you and they say, hey, we want you to do this, your first gut reaction shouldn't be no. It should be, yeah, let me do this. Let me see if I can learn something from this, because chances are there's something you're going to be able to learn from it. And so there's a lot of opportunity that I've gotten through the years just by able to say, yeah, I'll give that a try. I'm pretty technologically savvy, so it helps to be able to do that. But I think anybody can just say yes. And I think that's a big thing for me. And then the other thing I would mention is when I was in college, most of my career was shaped by having an internship with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, because we were required from our university in order to graduate to have an internship. And to be honest, I learned more at that internship than I probably learned at most of the courses I took in college. And it's just because you got to finally learn, what it was to work in the field. And so, maybe you can't get an internship out of high school, but you can do a job shadow. You can always, most professionals are more than interested and more than welcoming to let you even, come and do a job shadow for a day or a week. Or, if they do have an internship, the city of Albuquerque has internship programs. And I think, it's good to know, because it's good to see, like, what does this type of person, what's this person's job entail every single day? And for me, having an internship, and luckily it was a paid internship, which was even better. As a paid internship, I was able to go and see what the workers did there, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. There was people I saw that they had a good living and they were happy with their jobs, and that was important to me.